Welcome back to the Curios Cast. This episode, we're discussing the mystery of Coral Castle. Coral Castle.
Coral Castle.
We've briefly spoke about it before. It was quite a while ago.
No, we haven't, Tom.
No, just amongst ourselves as friends. We didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We just.
I don't remember anything about it. Yeah, I remember when you brought it up today. I was like, okay.
I think you were falling asleep when we were talking about it.
I think I was.
We drifted away.
Yeah. That's not a surprise. That's most conversations with Rob.
No. I'm quite with it tonight. You know, I'm quite hyped. I've had my dinner. I've got myself a nice Estrella, or as the Essex people say, Estrella.
Estrella.
Give me an Estrella. Yeah, I'm going exotic today.
I'm sans beer this evening. I've got no beer.
No, me neither. I done your technique the other day, Rob, of pouring it in, letting it have a big head, get the bubbles out. I think it made a difference. I only had one beer, so I didn't really get the hiccups or anything. But
sommelier.
Yeah, I had a singer.
What's a singer?
From Thailand.
Is that
Singer?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Singa. That's when you get maybe a Thai restaurant or something.
Yeah, it's in Wagamamas. There you go.
Are they Thai?
No.
No.
But they've also got Asahi, which is that it? Asahi? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is Japanese.
Japanese.
But anyway, Coral Castle.
Talk to me.
Pray tell.
So Coral Castle. My notes for it are here. There. I was in the wrong tab. Coral Castle is, as the name might suggest, a castle, but it's not made of coral. It's made of large oolite limestone structures. It's commonly referred to as the Stonehenge of Florida.
What did you just say? Oolite.
Oolite. It's just a type of limestone, basically.
Okay.
I did try looking up before, what the difference between an oolite limestone is and then just other types of limestone, and it got too geological that I was not interested anymore.
I actually went to a limestone kiln the other day in the Yorkshire Dales.
Okay.
And it's like a big thing where they shovel in all the limestone.
A big thing.
And it was like an old. I mean, you could walk through it. It used to be like a factory in the 1830s, maybe. Ended in I don't know. And it was
expert, eh?
Yeah, there used to be a big chimney, and that was no longer there. But what you could do was walk around the central pathing, and they'd shovel all this limestone in. It would constantly be burning. And it was like a revolution in the technology at the time. And it was right near this limestone quarry that was awesome. Peregrine falcons nesting up there, apparently. But nice. I don't know why you burn limestone, but they did it, and it was used for everything then, and it was sent out and used in all kinds of stuff.
You use it in building. Didn't they use it as almost like cement?
They used it in loads of stuff. You use it in like some sort of food production, they were saying as well. Yeah, all kinds of weird, like making chocolate and stuff.
Well,
mad.
Edward Leedskalnin, who was born in Latvia in 1887, who was the man who constructed Coral Castle. He used limestone for all sorts of things, including building Coral Castle. So, for those listening and not watching, and you'd like to sort of paint a picture of Coral Castle, it's just this big sort of grounds on grass with plants and stuff. But then also there's loads of stone structures sort of scattered around the place. If you just Google Coral Castle and look at the images, then you'll see lots of different sort of angles, and there's there's an aerial shot of it. If I was to guess the size of it, it's maybe sort of a quarter to a half the size of a football pitch, maybe.
Did you say where it is in the world?
It's in Florida.
Okay.
And it's sort of it's all surrounded by a wall, all made of the same type of limestone, and around it there are small structures, some of them very small, like the size of a little table or a fountain, and then others that are literally 2-story buildings, like a little turret from an actual castle. You have which has a ground floor and a first floor. You've got this big sort of it's not a pyramid, but it's this sort of rectangular sculpture with a triangle balancing on the top. And there are some stones that are chiseled and carved into the shape of planets. So you've got like a sphere with ring around it, and then you've got like a big crescent moon, and it's just it looks like it's sort of like a bit of a mess.
That's some skills. I want to see that bit.
But it's not a mess. So some of these structures are up to 25 feet tall, and each stone weighs an average of 14 tons. Some of them weighing up to 27 tons. So some of these structures are made up of 20 to 30 stones, especially the actual castle itself, like the actual building that you can go inside. I don't know how many stones that must use, at least 30, 40 or so. And yeah, they're 27 tons is the heaviest, and on average 14 tons.
Mad.
It's
a heavy boy.
It is heavy, and there's sort of in that structure as well, that little castle. There's all smaller, kind of more intricate detailing. So there's actually a staircase, which when you look at it, the stairs are, you know, pretty evenly spaced apart. You know, when you walk down some old stairs in like a castle, and some of them are really shallow, some of them are really deep. But this one's all pretty, you know, pretty even,
pretty uniform.
Yeah, and the stones are kind of run parallel to each other. You've got like a nice little cutout for some windows as well. It looks like, you know, it'd be something that you would use a machine to do, or some kind of like, you know, there'd be a team of people, a plan, a foreman, a
mason,
some other things, yeah, some tools. But this is not the case.
Would you have a digger? Do you reckon you have a digger involved?
Yeah, you definitely want a digger. You want a foundation, right?
I'll tell you what you would have, Tom. Couple of step ladders.
Yeah. So you've already got more tools than Edward Leedskalnin had.
I've got a chisel over there as well. I've been doing the floors.
You must have had some tools.
So chisel and a step ladder. Get me to Coral Castle.
He must have had some tools.
Sort them right out. Hey?
He must have had some tools.
Oh, you saying that this geezer hasn't got tools?
Well, Tom's about to say.
You're yanking my chain, Tom.
That's part of the mystery. So yeah, the actual, I guess, grounds itself and all the structures on their own, if you was to look at them, would not be much of a mystery or much of a spectacle, because we've all seen structures that are just as impressive from the time period. You know, this was built in the early 1900s. You see castles that are built hundreds of years ago, you know, big structures built thousands of years ago, you know, like the fucking pyramids, they're huge, right? So not all that amazing, but the mysterious part of it is that it was all built by this one man, Ed Leedskalnin, Latvian man who moved to America in 1912 at the age of 26. He moved back and forth for a few years after moving to America, going from job to job, before he settled in Florida and he purchased some cheap land. That part of Florida was quite uninhabited at the time. It wasn't a desirable place to live. It was mostly like, I guess a lot of Florida is kind of like swampy, marshy land that most people don't want. But he
arid.
Yes, very. No, arid means dry.
Yeah, is it not dry? Oh, you said the opposite.
No, yeah, it's like it's very swampy and marshy.
Liking that beer, Rob?
No, it's funny. I was watching that. You know that GeoGuessr guy? I think we spoke about him before, and he was doing one of his actual playing the GeoGuessr game.
Yeah,
and he does. It was one you told me about where he gets the other guy, the other YouTuber, to describe the stuff. And the guy had heard him once describe something as arid. Yeah. So he kept saying everything was arid, and then he was like, the guy was going, maybe I'm not. He was like, maybe I don't know what arid means.
Yeah.
He was like,
you definitely done that and misused the word arid.
Big up GeoGuessr, that was inspired by.
Yeah. So he settled down in Florida, and from then on, he dedicated the rest of his life to constructing Coral Castle. He mostly worked at nights, not allowing anyone to observe his work.
Double time, innit?
Yeah, true. He didn't allow anyone to observe his work. Every time someone tried to observe. So if someone came onto his grounds, he would just stop working. There was like a little hill nearby that apparently people would try and get up onto to watch him work, and he would just stop what he was doing, kind of sit down, take a little break, wouldn't let anyone watch him work. Kind of the
like
opposite of most, construction workers.
I was going to say kind of like a cricket.
A cricket?
Or a grasshopper. No, cricket. Like when when like you're out, or like say you're staying somewhere where there are grasshoppers. You ever had that like outside your window or something? You're like, fucking hell, this cunt really loud. And so you go out looking for it, and the second you got to walk and look out, it stops.
Yeah,
like they fucking know. So must be the
Do
same.
you know what? When we
same thing.
Started talking about Coral Castle, the last thing I thought we'd then discuss would be crickets or grasshoppers.
Always away.
I haven't seen a grasshopper in ages.
No,
I saw one last year.
Is that because are we not just like milling about in the grass in the same way?
Yeah.
I was in our youth.
I remember seeing massive green ones when I was younger.
Well, that's a cricket, isn't it?
I guess so, maybe, but I just don't see them anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently. How
not like it used to be in the old days, eh, George?
I was thinking about it recently. I was like, I haven't seen an ant for ages. Are ants still like about? They're still all right.
If you look on Wikipedia, right. Ants are area of least concern.
Well, actually, right, I was reading a thing today. Lots of insects are in decline.
Oh,
because people are putting fucking artificial lawns. And like loads of places doing artificial lawns, and like no insects can get through. They all get fucked. Ground feeding stuff like worms and shit. They're all fucked. Because I think you're fucking like a psychopath if you want to have artificial grass outside. Yeah. Like it's bizarre. It's I think you must want to. The next step is killing animals. The next step after that is skinning human beings and wearing their skin to go to the supermarket.
I mean, I just think it doesn't look very nice.
No, it's 2 steps away from wearing
nice. It looks
skin.
like the best kind of grass. Like it looks like perfectly maintained grass.
Artificial grass looks like shit.
No, and it feels like shit.
No, it doesn't. It feels so nice.
No, it's bizarre. My friend had some.
You got a shit one then.
Yeah, no, it looked the bollocks, and it did feel nice. But you went outside on a hot day, we were sitting in the hot, and you don't get that lovely grass cooling.
Sitting in it on the hot.
Well, you know what I mean. On a hot day, and you don't get that. You normally sit on grass to cool down. It's like, oh, this is nice. This grass. It wasn't. It was like warm. It was bizarre. It's like, fuck you and your parents.
And if a dog weighs on it, it stinks.
That's the point. I didn't even think about that.
No, you just spray you spray water on it. It all drains out underneath.
Yeah, bullshit.
That's chaos. That's fucking chaos.
If you have fake grass one day, Tom, it's over.
I probably will.
Having real grass.
I've just put some nice grass down, and I'm well into it. So that's why
you're putting your rolls of grass out
for it. Yeah.
Anyway,
fuck artificial lawns.
So yeah, Edward would not let anyone observe his work, and as we said, the rocks weigh multiple tons. Average of 14 tons or something. I mean,
wait, 14 tons?
Yeah, on average, each one of those rocks weighs 14 tons.
That's far out.
That is.
That is, though, isn't it? Think about how heavy 14 tons is. How heavy is an elephant?
At
least like
between 1 and 200, I'd say.
A lot.
I'm going to find out. Keep going. I'm going to find out.
Okay. I reckon an elephant is like just a few tons, probably like 4 tons or something. Well, because a car's like 2 tons, isn't it?
Car's like 1 ton, isn't
it? Yeah. So it's got to be a 6 tonner, I reckon.
Elephant.
Big old elephant. Yeah.
No, I reckon like 4.
2 and 7 tons.
Oh, so we're all right.
So that's crazy. So what?
Yeah. This is the thing, man. And it says like some of them weighed up to 27 tons. That's a lot of elephants.
What's heavier, a hippo or an elephant?
When was this again? You said 1900s?
1912 was when he moved there. So yeah,
do diggers exist?
19 teens.
Does that sort of like a crane? Does that sort of thing exist? Like, could he have hired it or got it or owned it? Or
he could have, but he didn't.
So they did exist. So he might have.
Yeah.
Or was it they didn't really exist then? Maybe not in the same way.
Not in the way that they do now, I don't think. Oh, they must have, because they had like tall buildings and stuff, didn't they?
They built like like London tall buildings in London and New York.
They built like London.
They built like London.
But I was trying to think when like the Empire State Building was built. That was probably in the 20s, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it would have been all like scaffolding and
I guess so.
burly
but they
men,
would have
innit?
probably used some sort of device to at least start from a higher point, you know?
Maybe, I don't know.
Fucking hell. I don't know.
Show you, I'm really uneducated on this part of...
So, I mean, not that it makes much of a difference, but...
What's a girder?
Fuck off.
That's the thing women wear at their wedding, innit?
Edward was not a big, strong guy. Not that it would make a difference being able to carry 14 tons or not, but he was described as weighing a mere 100 pounds and stood just over 5 feet tall. So, you know, small little skinny man lifting some big rocks. If anyone ever questioned Edward on how he moved the blocks of stone, he would simply reply that he understood the laws of weight and leverage well, and that he had discovered the secrets of the people who built the pyramids.
I was thinking about it. Even if you did have some sort of mechanical, I don't know, like think about what sort of things you could use. Maybe like well, we're really shit at fucking what things are. You know, like the one you see with the big bucket on it and they lift it up. Maybe you could use that. But even then what? Like you sort of lift that up and then you get out and then
you'll be able to place it. Like these big stones are placed in such a perfect way and so like lined up. And I don't know, maybe if you looked at them real closely, they would be off by like millimeters or centimeters, but that's still crazy for how heavy they are.
I guess if you were going to do it with machinery, I'm thinking about now, you'd have a crane with like a sling on it, wouldn't you? And then it would move it like, place it like that. But
yeah.
Still, but then what? Yeah, on your own. Even on your own, that would be hard, even if you use a crane.
Yeah.
But which he didn't, by the sound of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, he would just say that he'd learnt the secrets of those who built the pyramids. At the time, a few teenagers claimed to have witnessed his work, reporting that he had caused the blocks of stone to move like hydrogen balloons. So, no, the words of some teenagers there.
So they're saying that he was floating the blocks around.
That's what they claimed, yeah.
All right, well, cranes have been around for 10 million years, apparently.
Well, I mean, yeah.
No, wait, hang on. Are you looking at the bird, the crane?
Nice. No, apparently ancient Greeks used to use them.
Yeah?
In some sort of
10
way.
million years ago? Ancient Greeks? What are you talking about?
All right.
Ancient Greece wasn't around 10 million years ago.
Right, well, that as well. I've got a thing saying, what did the Greeks use them for? And also a thing saying, 10 million years. All right? So shut up.
Imagine a cave. How long have humans been? Humans haven't even been around
like
for
100,000 years, shit like that, right?
So what was using them 10 million years ago?
What about then? Yeah, I can't see it.
You're looking at the bird.
Google's mugging me off. Google is cunting me off now. Sorry, carry on. Literally, that thing that said 10 million years is gone now. I've imagined that.
Sure, we didn't say like 10 years.
Yeah, that's mugged me off, innit?
1000 years. 1,000 years.
No, doesn't matter. Carry on.
It does not matter. So,
anyway, levitating blocks. You've taken the like the gloss off of that bit, Rob.
Yeah, sorry, that was quite intense, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was floating blocks around with his mind, Rob.
Yeah, that's what a couple of teenagers claim to have witnessed. A friend of Edward, who only sort of like revealed himself after Edward died, disputed the claims of the teenagers. He said that was ridiculous, and that Edward was just a very clever man who, again, knew how to, like he said, knew the laws of weight and leverage. So whether he had like ropes and was just really good at like counterbalancing and stuff like that, but even then, you still got to be able to move the counterweight. So,
and also this like the rope that you'd need to hold a 14-ton block up.
Yeah, he's just really good at tying knots, isn't he?
Yeah, fuck me.
So not only is that impressive enough, but one of the most impressive parts of Coral Castle is the Revolving Gate that was the entrance and exit for Coral Castle. So it was walled all the way around, and there's been some other like entrances and exits added over time now that it's become sort of like a tourist attraction. But the way in and out of it was this big revolving gate that was also made out of this big limestone. And the way it worked was essentially one big kind of rectangle block of brick limestone, and with a center point, like so it's swiveled on its center, and it was said to have turned so well that it could be opened with the light push of a finger. So it was 8 feet tall. It was an 8.2 ton slab of rock. And it's so perfectly carved that it fit within a 1/4 inch of the walls that surrounded it. So you had obviously like the door frame, and then in the center it would swivel round, and each side would be just within a 1/4 inch of the door frame.
So it was like in the middle, like like the center point was in the middle of it, and like a classic revolving door.
Yeah,
like
so. But it's just a big solid.
Yeah, but not like revolving doors you get now into buildings where it's like a four-way thing. It was just one, so it was just one kind of door that swiveled in the middle.
When it was shut, it was boom, and you pushed it, and you walked through, and then it would.
Yeah, I'm trying to. So the hand gestures help, but for those listening, I'm trying to describe it in words. But essentially, like a big rectangular bit of rock with a hole drilled through it, and then it was swiveling on, with this hole that was drilled through the middle.
So what is it like? What is it balancing on? Like another bit of stone? There's like a bit of stone at a point at the bottom. Is it?
So that part remained a mystery until 1986, which was after Edward had died. So for years, what would that be? Sort of 60 years or so at least. It was working perfectly fine. And there were, people who actually went and visited before they had to remove the door. There's reports of people who said that when they went there as a kid, they pushed it and they didn't push it that hard, but it swung round so easily that they thought it was going to get like hit in the back by the other side, because it was like balanced so well that even though it weighed 8.2 tons, you could just gently push it and it would easily just glide open. And it was in 1986 when it stopped working, so they had to remove it. It took 6 men and a 45-ton crane to remove it. When they removed it, they discovered that to balance it, Edward had drilled a hole through the rock from top to bottom, which again is quite a remarkable feat to be able to drill perfectly through the middle without going off at like a weird angle and
without tools
and whatever tools he used. I don't know
what drill is even apart from like a big crane-like drill. It's not a hand drill
because it's 8 feet long. So at a minimum, it has to be at least 4 feet, right? To just start at one side, go through the other side. But that's difficult to meet them up in the middle. So he drilled a hole through the rock from top to bottom through the 8 feet of rock and inserted a metal shaft which was resting on a truck bearing. I don't know what that is. The bearing for a truck,
maybe.
Yeah.
What is that? What, as in like the bit that the wheel would sit on? Maybe, I guess the bearing on a truck being the bit that the wheel would sit on to then turn round, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. And the reason that it failed was just because over time it started rusting. The interesting thing is that when it was set back into place, of course, they deconstructed it. They observed, this is how he done it. They tried to recreate it, and it was put back into place in 1986, but it failed again. They couldn't do it as well as Edward, and it had to be repaired again in 2005. However, people say it still does not rotate with the ease that it once did back before in the 1980s and 70s.
So you can it's like functional now, is it? You can
so they have like
door.
gated it off, so that is not used as like the main entrance and exit. So I think they don't let people just go and play with it. But if you go there on a tour, one of the like staff there will demonstrate sort of like how it swings open, because they don't want people to fuck around with it. But
Man,
but it is still there.
Like the Flintstones.
Yeah, when you look up Coral
so,
Castle, like it's one of the main sort of pictures. It's just like a it's two sort of like stones side by side, and then a stone on top to form a doorway, and then this stone in the middle that sort of pivots and swivels around. There are videos of it as well, sort of swiveling around, but of course they're more recent, like after it's been repaired and such.
Apparently Billy Idol recorded a music video.
He did, yeah. So that's actually interesting, because Edward's like reasoning for this, for building this, was because he like proposed to a girl, or was sort of like trying to make moves on this chick back in Latvia, Latvia, and she rejected him. This was like when they were teenagers, and he referred to her as his Sweet 16, and he built this for her, even though she was back in Latvia and never saw it. But he built this as like a monument to her, and I think that song is called Sweet 16. So they filmed that music video there. But yeah, so even with like the decades more of technological advancements, they couldn't do as good of a job of building that swiveling door as Edward did back in the 19-teens or 20s.
It's mad.
When he was alive, Edward was said to be a kind man and would allow people to tour his estate for the price of 10 cents. But if they didn't have the 10 cents, he would still let them in anyway. It was just like a little tip. And show them with great enthusiasm and in detail his creations, such as his perfectly balanced rocking chairs. So there were loads of chairs and tables sitting around that you could sit on, and apparently like the rocking chairs were so sort of perfectly balanced for being such a, obviously again another massive chunk of rock, that you could just sort of gently lean back and it would just rock you for quite a while. He built a Polaris Telescope, which I guess it's not as like amazing as it sounds. Like you can actually look through and see the stars, but I think a Polaris telescope is just basically a anything that lines up with certain like celestial bodies. I tried to quickly look up what it is, and I can just find actual telescopes.
It's like at certain times of the year.
Yeah, I think
match up
so.
to like Venus or Mars if you're standing at a certain point. Well, that's shit.
Yeah, so what it looks like is just a really tall rectangular stone with like a hole at the top, and then it looks like a little bit of metal wiring that sort of goes in like a cross shape. And I want to try and find out exactly what it.
Polaris, the North Star.
The North Star. Okay.
So it says it always points to the North Star.
Yeah. So he managed to line that up pretty well.
That's pretty Egyptian, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't really, as much as like I couldn't do that, I don't find that as sort of amazing. You know, when people say stuff about the pyramids and how the pyramids are perfectly lined up with those like Orion's belt. And everyone's like, how did they do it? They lined it up perfectly. I'm like, well, because they just fucking looked, and they were like, okay, like, you know, they could like just see how far away they are and be like, okay, we'll just do that sort of, you know, equivalent. Like,
it's probably one of those things though, when you know more about it, it's more impressive.
Nah,
maybe.
fucking easy. Like, they're just three in a row. That one's a little bit further than that one. There we go, bang, bosh.
So you're poo-pooing the pyramids.
Yeah,
yeah, easy.
I still think they are big. I'll give them that, and and they are very triangle pyramid-like, you know. But the whole like lining them up with the stars, I don't give them any extra points for that.
I was thinking it's like I heard it reminds me of, I watched that Free Solo recently, you know, about the Alex Honnold that climbed up Yosemite thing without a rope, and one of the guys he's talking about it, and he says people that kind of know what he's doing are a bit like, oh man, this is pretty mad. He's like, but people that really know how hard it is, whatever he's doing, he's like, they're fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit like that. You know, if you're like, the stars, cool. When you really understand, it's probably more impressive.
Doubt it. So yeah, he had these perfectly
Brian
balancing...
Cox, if you're listening, explain it to us.
Yeah, send us an email.
Or that other guy. What's that guy? George, who's always on... He's always talking about the Aztecs and Greg Hancock. It's that Hancock, isn't it?
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock, yeah.
Yeah, he's got some good theories.
If you're listening, Graham.
I'll get him on the line.
Yeah.
I realised if I just read the next sentence of my notes, I explained what the Polaris Telescope was. I was like, I need to Google this because I didn't write it down. And it just says, it's a Polaris Telescope that is designed to always point at the North Star. But no one knows how he done any of these things. Like, he never explained it. That is the mystery of it.
So obviously he quarried all this rock. So that is
where'd that come
first
from?
mystery, right? So
where'd that come from?
Obviously he's got all this rock from somewhere.
I'm pretty sure his like little, bit of land was right next to a limestone quarry. What is kind of interesting, it's not mentioned in a lot of I don't know if it's on the Wikipedia or on the like Coral Castle website or anything, because it's now a tourist attraction. There's like Coral Castle website where you can book to go and see it and stuff. But he actually moved locations, so he purchased a bit of land and started building his Coral Castle there, and then a few years or so in, he decided to buy a bit of land about like 2 miles up the road or so, and he did hire so I guess they do have cranes to move it and stuff, because he did hire like cranes and trucks that moved it all there, but it took like weeks, and it was like a lot of work. Like obviously big cranes have to come and completely deconstruct it and brought it over in trucks, and then when they brought it over, they didn't put it back as it was. They just put all the stones sort of just lying there, and he had to rebuild it. So it just
like roadside delivery.
Yeah.
No, not bring it inside, mate.
So they did have cranes and like the technology to carry all those big stones, but he had to pay a lot of money, and it was like a big deal. It took weeks and weeks to, deconstruct it all and bring it over. So it was possible to be done with tools, but it wasn't, because he was in this kind of like I guess like neighborhood, and people knew him locally as just that crazy man who spends all his time building this castle. But yeah.
It says here that he lived a diet of just crackers and sardines. That's all he ate. I mean, he's definitely not lifting 14-ton stones if he's just eating crackers and sardines.
That can't be true, can it? Yeah, that can't be true. There's something going on there. There's something fishy going on there, isn't there, George?
Way.
Yeah,
sardines are some fish, fishy.
Yeah, I think when he died, he just like he just started feeling a bit rough and was like
a bit knackered. His arms were a bit tired. So
yeah, he put a little note on the door and just said, not feeling too well, going off to the hospital, and turned out he had like tuberculosis, and he died. Yeah,
it's a bit sad.
But so I did try to do some more sort of like digging. Another thing I found, there's this really fucking weird website. I'll link it to you. coralcastlerocks.com if anyone wants to have a look. I've linked you like a particular page on it that I'm going to talk about in a second. But it says Edward was rumoured to have lots of knowledge of magnets and how they worked. He even wrote a little booklet called Magnetic Current. He supposedly applied for a patent for a magnetic motor that he claimed would work forever, i.e. a perpetual motion machine. He had a magnet flywheel located at the castle that is still there, but parts of it have been removed. When Ed didn't get a patent, he was very open about the plans for it and supposedly used it to power a truck as well. If you look at Ed's statements, he said that simply you had the north and the south of magnets which chased each other. He also claimed that scientists of his time were looking in the wrong place for their understanding of electricity, and that they were observing only half of the whole concept with one-sided tools of measurement. So some people speculate that Ed used magnetism to levitate the stones by using his magnetic generator to create an electricity that affected the lines of magnetism of the large stones. Others say that Ed understood ley lines or lines of energy in the earth and somehow used this mysterious energy of magnetism to create a repulsive force. Despite his many statements, his book is hard to decipher, and so Ed took the secrets of his magnets with him to the grave.
It's a good theory. I like that.
What do you mean his book's hard to decipher?
I think he just kind of rambled and talked a little bit. I'm guessing maybe if he was like Latvian, he might not have had the best English, but he...
Oh, so he tried to write it in English?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But on this website, which there's a massive heading at the top saying Coral Castle, everything you know is wrong. And I clicked on it.
Looks like Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah, it's a very jazzy kind of font and backdrop. But it's actually a book. So it's actually a book called Coral Castle, Everything You Know Is Wrong. I was tempted to buy it. It is £25 or so, though. But it's like £5 if you got a Kindle, so maybe. But there's lots of pages on here. There's a whole section for astronomy, and it talks about all the different stones that he carved into planets, like Saturn, Mars, and all the crescent moons. So small crescent of the east, and what they could all mean. The website is a little bit... just trying to get you to buy the book. It has all these pictures of the moon and these like machines that are found on the property, and it just says there is a reason why Ed placed 2 crescent moons in the planet corner. There is a reason why Ed called this large crescent the Crescent of the East. To learn more, read Coral Castle, Everything You Know Is Wrong. There's and there's like
it's paranormal.
Yeah.
Apparently his ghost is still haunting Coral Castle.
Yeah.
Tom.
And then there's a section, megalithic devices. So just all the big things that he carved. And one of them is his bathtub. But it says, the tour guides explain that this is Ed's bathtub. However, it is too small for any adult to fit inside the tub. The inner tank is less than 4 feet long, so there's no way to lie down. When you go to Coral Castle, just try it. It's impossible. Ed never took a bath in the bathtub. He did it in the backyard. Most people fail to realise that Ed did not live inside the castle walls. There is also a weird object called Ed's mirror near the bathtub. And Ed's mirror is like just like a small little rectangle that's described as resembling an old-fashioned soap holder. So it is just sort of like a rectangle sort of like bowl that you might put like soap in because it's next to the bath. And it's referred to as Ed's mirror because you can see your reflection if you fill this with water. Well, you can see your reflection in any water-filled vessel for that matter, which is true. Well, this weird object proves that Ed was working on something unusual, far ahead of his times. To learn more, read the book, Coral Castle, Everything You Know Is Wrong. So I am really tempted. I want to do, I might read it and we'll do like a follow-up episode about, you know.
Well, there's just clicking that link you said, there's a free... Kindle app that you see. You can get the Kindle version.
Oh,
just read it on an app.
Oh, okay, maybe. And then there's also a 8-foot tall barbecue cooker at Coral Castle. So kind of like your limestone kiln. This is like you know, it's this big 8-foot structure with a big hole in the middle that was used to light fires. And but this gentleman on his website describes it as basically saying it is not a barbecue. But I don't know. Yeah. Did you know that Ed's barbecue cooker was not a cooker at all? It served a very important purpose. To know the real purpose of this 8-foot tall megalithic object, read Coral Castle, Everything You Know Is Wrong.
Whoa.
So I'm tempted.
I'm tempted, yeah. Fucking hell.
Do it.
Well, we
just
won't both buy it. Like, maybe we split the cost.
Yeah. What we got on the Curios Cast kitty? How much we owe?
I think I still owe you £3.
Nothing.
Oh, in fact, you both owe me money.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay,
yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, I think I owe you £3 still.
But yeah, that's Coral Castle.
I like it. The magnetic stuff interesting. You know, if he truly didn't use any tools and he didn't use any hired help and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, he could have used like a load of slaves and killed them all and buried them in the grounds of the castle
inside
somewhere.
the stones.
Yeah.
Whoa, maybe. Well, I mean, we only know if we read this book.
Yeah.
There's no kind of like end to the story because it is a mystery. Ed died. That was it.
There you go.
It's a mystery. If you know any more about Coral Castle, or you've got any theories, let us know. Curios Cast on everything. Any lasting thoughts?
No.
It's very. I like it. I like the.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
I like the mystery. You know, I like to imagine him floating blocks around, and
I'd like to go there one day. It'd be great to hear from anyone that's been there.
But it's even interesting, even if he's not doing it, you know, with his mind or magnets or whatever, the fact that he was able to do it using conventional ropes and pulleys and stuff, even that is quite impressive.
Whatever the fuck he did is
like what
a feat.
He
did all that whilst just eating sardines and crackers. I mean, I get grouchy if I've gone for a 10-kilometre walk and I haven't got a beer and a full meal when I get home, let alone lifting blocks and all that shit.
Yeah, that'd be shit. But the man who claims to be his friend after he died, and he claims to be his only friend because he was like quite a recluse. This guy, you know, he just kind of done his thing, let people have a walk around if he wanted. This guy claimed to be like a close friend of his who said the teenagers were just making up the stuff, and he said, no, you're disrespecting Ed, saying that it's all magic and, you know, levitating. He's just a really smart guy and he knows how to use, you know, like you say, pulleys and levers and I guess pivot points and shit like that. And but even then, like that just seems near impossible.
Yeah,
not near impossible, impossible.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is a crazy one. I need to say, I should have said at the beginning, but thanks to our listener Mike G for suggesting this as a topic. I'd never heard of Coral Castle until he mentioned it to me about a year ago, and here it is.
There you go.
Thanks, Mike.
One day he can tell his child, his newborn child, that, you know, like you see those guys on the Curios Cast, that massive podcast.
Yeah,
I suggested that story, you know, 15 years ago, and now look at them.
Yeah,
running the podcast world.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
Have you ever had a pulley?
I'll thank you. I'll give you a pulley if you want right now. I'll come to Amsterdam. I know you know Amsterdam, mate.
I love it.
All right, cheers, Tom.
All right.
Nice one.
Thanks for listening. And
thank you, Tom.
We'll see you next week with another weird news.
Big ups.